Mother.
All right, then we'll act out of the music.
Yes, marvellous. Well, don't let anybody come in yet, will you, Mother?
Oh, I think Kay ought to have first choice. After all, it is her birthday, and you know how she adores charades. Mother won't want any of these, because she'd rather look grand, wouldn't she? Spanish or Russian or something. What are you doing?
Good morning, good morning.
Mother told me to tell you not to make too much of a mess in here.
You must have a mess with charades. It's part of it.
Just wait till Mother starts dressing up. She makes more mess than anybody. Well, tell Kay and Madge to come in, will you, Alan?
Right.
Oh, just look at this. Can you believe people ever wore such ridiculous things?
I can just remember Mother in that, can't you?
Yes, of course I can, infant.
That was Daddy's, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe you wore it that very holiday.
Perhaps we ought to put it away.
Oh, I don't think Mother would mind, no.
She wouldn't. I know I would. I don't want anybody to dress up and be funny in the coat Father wore just before he was drowned. I wonder if it's very horrible being drowned.
Oh, don't start that all over again, Carol, just when we're having some fun. Why do you?
Don't you often feel like that? Just when everything is very jolly and exciting, I suddenly think of something awfully serious, sometimes horrible. Like Dad drowning, or that little mad boy I once saw with a huge head. Or that old man...
No, I'm not listening.
They pop up right in the middle of the jolly stuff, you know, Hazel. It happens to Kay too, so it must be in the family a bit.
You found them. Good. Oh, I didn't think we'd have so many old things left. Mother ought to have given them away.
I'm glad she didn't. Besides, who'd have had them?
Lots of people would have been glad of them. You never realise, Hazel, how wretchedly poor most people are. It just doesn't occur to you, does it?
Don't be schoolmistress in that.
Has Gerald Thornton arrived?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he has.
I knew it. I could see it in your eye, Madge.
Don't be absurd. He's brought another man with him, a new client of his who's desperately anxious to know our family.
So he ought to be. Nice?
He's a funny little man.
That's just what we want. Funny little man. Perfect for charades.
No, not that kind. He probably hasn't any sense of humour at all. Very shy so far and terrified of Mother, very much the little businessman, I should think.
Is he a profiteer like the ones in Punch?
Yes, he looks as if he might be. His name's Ernest Beavers.
What a silly name. I feel sorry for his wife, if he has one.
Yes, well, I gather that he hasn't. Well, look here, we ought to be starting. Kay, we ought to be starting.
I know. The others are coming.
Ooh. Oh, there's some good costumes here, ladies.
Oh, one moment, Lord. Thingamy-bob, if I am discovered here, who will believe that my purpose in coming to your rooms tonight, unaccompanied, was solely to obtain the papers that will enable me to... getting all mixed up. Oh, you know, we ought to have had a scene like that, all grand and dramatic, full of papers.
Well, what are we to have?
I've forgotten the word.
Oh, Hazel, you're the limit, and we spent hours working it out.
But I didn't, only you and Kay. Just because you fancy yourselves as budding authoresses and actresses.
The word, idiot, is pussyfoot. Puss-see-foot, then the whole word.
Oh, I think 4 scenes are too many. Anyway, they'll easily guess it.
Oh, that doesn't matter. It makes them happy if they guess it.
The great thing is to dress up.
I'm ready, if you
Oh,
are.
at last.
Oh, that's it. I shall be a Spanish beauty. I know a song for it, too.
What did I tell you? Now, what are we to do?
Now, the first scene, Puss, is an old lady who's lost a cat.
I'm to be the old lady.
But, Mother, you and Hazel are her 2 daughters who are visiting her.
Yes, dear.
I know my bit. I keep saying, Mother, I always hated that terrible cat of yours.
Now, I shall be the Spanish daughter, you see. She didn't really have a Spanish daughter, but I suppose it doesn't matter. Not in the least. Nobody cares. And then I suppose you won't want me to appear in the others because you'll be wanting me to sing afterwards. Of course, but I'd put you down for 2 more. Oh, Madge and Joan Helford will have to do those. What a pity Robin isn't here. You know, he wrote and said he might be to Maud any day now.
Seems such a pity just to miss your party. Robin loves parties. He's like me. Your father never cared for them much. Always just in the middle, when everything was getting going, he'd take me into a corner and ask me how long people were going to stay just when they were beginning to enjoy themselves. I never could understand that.
I can. I've often felt like that.
But why, dear, why? If you're having a party, you're having a party.
Well, it isn't that, but you feel quite suddenly that it isn't real enough. And you want something to be real. Do you see, Mother?
No, I don't at all. Sounds rather morbid to me, but then your father could be quite morbid sometimes.
Do you think, in a mysterious sort of a way, he knew?
Knew what, dear?
Knew what was going to happen to him. You know, Alan said that some of the men he knew who were killed in the trenches seemed to know sometimes that they were going to be killed. As if a kind of shadow fell over them. Just as if now and then they could see round the corner into the future.
Extraordinary idea. Are you happy, darling?
Yes, Mother, very happy.
Oh, that's all that matters. I want you to have a lovely birthday. I feel we can all be happy again now this terrible war is over. People are beginning to enjoy themselves and be sensible again, and Robin and Alan are quite safe.
I'll tell them a beginning, and it's 3 syllables.
I think you all look marvellous, but I'm rotten at this, you know, Kay. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Now then, Carol, you start, and remember, only say puss once. Don't you two say it, only Carol.
Now, where are my 2 daughters? Where?
Oh, good old Carol. Now then, you two. Come on, Mother. Now then, Joan, the next syllable is S-Y. So I thought it wouldn't be cheating too badly if we called that sigh. You know, Cockney. I sigh, Bert. So this is an East End scene. Madge, you're the old mother.
Yes, I remembered.
What am I? I forget.
You're Bert. Just put something silly on. Now, is there anything here you can wear, Joan?
Never mind, your children, and we will take good care of you. We will take you to Granada and sit in the sunshine and dance and sing.
I don't want to dance and sing without my old cat.
I was in London last week, staying with my uncle. We went to the theatre 3 times. We saw Tilly of Bloomsbury, Cinderella Man and Kissing Time. I like Cinderella Man best. Oh, in theirs, you know. I thought Robin was coming home soon.
He is.
He's an officer now, isn't he? You weren't an officer, were you, Alan?
No, I was just a lance corporal, you know. 1 stripe, nothing at all.
What are you doing now? Somebody said you were at the town hall.
I am, yes. In the rate office. Just a clerk, you know.
Isn't it dull?
Yes.
Alan never minds being dull. I believe he has tremendous long adventures inside his head that nobody knows anything about.
Hazel says you started to write another novel, Kay, have you?
Yes,
What did you do with the last one?
burnt it.
What?
It was putrid.
It isn't that an awful waste of time?
Yes, I suppose so.
Still, look at the time you and I waste, Joe.
Oh, no, I'm always doing something. Even though I haven't to go to the canteen anymore, I'm always busy.
Well, you can imagine what happened. Mother let herself go. And of course it became all Spanish. What are you supposed to be, Joan?
Sort of Costa girl.
You look a sort of general mess.
Oh, that was very silly, but they seemed to enjoy it. You were very good, Carol. Carol was sweet, Kay.
Now, come on.
Honestly, Kay, I'll be off.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You've nothing to do. Now then, Madge.
Now then, Bert, and you, Daisy, come along or we'll be late.
Where on earth did you get that claret cup, Mother?
I got Gerald Thornton to hand it to me. It rounded off my little scene very nicely. Don't want any more. Would you like some?
Thank you. Mother, you weren't going to be an actress, were you? Just a singer?
I don't know what you mean by just a singer. I was a singer, certainly. I did some acting, too. I'd had all you children then.
Mother, Joan did go to London last week and she went to 3 theatres.
Yes, but she has relatives there, and we don't. That makes all the difference.
Aren't we ever going?
Yes, of course we will. Perhaps Robin will take us, just you and me, when he comes back.
It said in the paper this morning that we must all get on with our jobs. This rush for amusement has gone on long enough. There's work waiting to be done.
I think that's frightfully unfair and idiotic. Just when we might be having some fun, they go and tell us we've had enough amusement and must get on with our jobs. What jobs?
Rebuilding a shattered world. Said that too.
Well, your job will be to find a nice young man and marry him. That shouldn't be too difficult for you.
Ooh, hurry up, Hazel. Then I can be bridesmaid. I believe you're my only chance. Kay says she won't get married for ages, if ever. Because of her writing. Her work must come first.
Nonsense, dear. When the right young man comes along, she'll forget about her writing.
I don't believe she will, Mother. And anyhow, she won't have bridesmaids. And if Madge ever marries, I know it'll be to some kind of socialist in a tweed suit who'll insist on being married in a registry office.
Oh, that's very good, dear. You look just like Mr. Westnop. Do you remember him, the cashier at the works? Every New Year's Eve, your father used to bring him home and offer him some port. And when I came into the room, he used to stand up and hold his glass like this and say, "My respects, Mrs. Conway, my deepest respects." Always wanted to laugh. He's retired now and gone to live in South Devon.
That's perfectly true, Gerald. But what the miners want and ask for is simply nationalisation. They say, if coal is as important as you say it is, then the mine shouldn't be in the hands of private owners any longer. Nationalise them, they say. That's the fairest thing.
All right. But supposing we don't want nationalisation, what then? I mean, some of us have seen enough of government mismanagement already.
I mean, oh, how ridiculous they were, sending bags of sand to Egypt.
Oh, I don't believe half those stories. Besides, they had to improvise everything in a hurry. And anyhow, it wasn't a socialist government.
But how do you know they'd be any better? They might be worse, less experience.
No, I know that experience. We're always having that flung in our faces. All that's needed is a little intelligence and enthusiasm and decency.
I've been conscripted for the next scene to be a general or something.
We haven't got fancy dress for you.
Good.
I mustn't leave them alone any longer, must I? Most of them will be going soon, and we can have a nice, cosy little party of our own.
Well, you must look different somehow. You could turn your coat inside out.
Well, I don't think that would be very effective, do you?
Well, wear an overcoat then.
Oh.
Oh, put this on, and this, and this. That's a very good one.
Do you know who's here? Guess. Who? That awful little man who always stares at you, the one who once followed us all around the park.
He's not!
Yes, I tell you. I distinctly saw him standing at the side near the door.
This sounds like my friend Beavers.
You don't mean to say that the man you've brought is that awful little man? But you're the absolute limit, Gerald Thornton. He's a dreadful little creature.
Oh, he's not so bad. Anyway, he insisted on my bringing him, and your mother said it was all right.
I told you he was mad about you.
But I swear I won't speak to him.
Well, that wasn't much good. The Costas were a washout. Oh, that's all right, Carol. Oh, now, Gerald, you're a general and the others are recruits. Oh, hurry up and put something different on, Alan. Gerald, now you're inspecting them, you know. Oh, make up something silly. And then say to one of them, "Look at your foot, my man." Anyhow, bring in foot.
Have I only got two recruits, Carol and Alan?
No, Mother's sending in another man. They aren't guessing anything yet, but that's simply because it's all such a muddle. I don't think I like charades as much as I used to do. Oh, Dad was marvellous at them.
Oh, Mrs. Conway told me to come in here.
Oh, yes, of course. You've to be one of the recruits in this next bit.
Well, I'm not much good at this sort of thing, you know.
Doesn't matter, just be silly.
Oh, sorry, Beavers, I better introduce you. This is Mr. Ernest Beavers, a recent arrival in our progressive city. Now, these are all Conways, except for this young lady here, Miss Joan Helford.
How do you do?
How do you do?
This is Kay, who decided to be 21 today so that we could all have this party.
Many happy returns.
Thank you.
She is the literary genius of this distinguished family. Over there is Madge, who went to Girton and will try and persuade you to socialism.
I'm afraid she won't succeed.
This strange-looking middle-aged young person is Carol.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, Alan, I think you've met. Oh, yes, let me see. This is Hazel. She creates such havoc that when the Leicesters were stationed here, the Colonel wrote and asked her to stay indoors the days when they had route marches.
Oh, don't be idiotic, Gerald.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I believe that...
Look, you better do something funny to yourself. Is there anything here you'd like?
Oh, well, I'm sure there is.
Now,
You'll find it.
Carol and Alan, you start your recruits.
Yes.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way.
Hazel, what did your mother say about removing?
Well, of course you won't think of it. And she's been offered £5,000. 5,000 for this house.
Tell her to take it. I'll bet in 10 years she couldn't get 2,000. It's only this temporary shortage that's forced the prices of property up. You'll see 'em come down with a bang yet.
But of course she adores being here, and so it's hopeless.
If I spoke out of my turn, I'm sorry.
Hurry up, Mr. Beavers.
I'm no good at this, you know, Miss Conway, and it's no use pretending that I am.
But I don't think it's funny, Joan. I'm furious. Sidney, did you hear him? If I spoke out of my turn, I'm sorry. I think you were rather beastly to that little man. But I think Gerald Thornton had the cheek of the devil to bring him here, just because he's a new client. Oh, you're not going to marry him? I'd sooner marry a ferret.
I don't believe you two ever think or talk about anything except clothes and going to London and getting married.
Oh, don't you start being so grand. The Garden of Stars.
Now shut up, Hazel.
The Garden of Stars. That's the name of the last novel she started. And there are so many pieces of paper with the opening words written on them that I know them off by heart. Marion went out into the still, smooth night.
Hazel!
There was no moon. But already the sky was silver-dusted with stars.
I know it's all wrong, but I tore it out, didn't I?
Yes, my duck. And then you cried.
I've just begun a real one. With some guts in it, you'll see.
I bet it's about a girl who lives in a town just like Newlingham.
Well, why shouldn't it be?
That's quite true,
They
Alan.
can't expect people to behave differently when they've still got their war restrictions on everything. They can't have it both ways.
Well, there's still a lot of profiteering.
You've got to let business find its own level. The more interference, the worse it is.
The worst for who?
For everybody.
I doubt it.
Well, you're working in the town hall, aren't you? You can't learn much about these things there, you know.
I say, you three must have been terribly good in the charade, weren't you?
No, we were not very good.
Oh, they were awful. Well, you weren't too bad, Mr. Beavers, especially for a man who was doing a charade in a strange house.
Now, I call that handsome, Miss Carroll.
The whole word now, pussyfoot. It's supposed to be a party in America, and we can't have anything to drink. Oh, we won't bother dressing up for this. Just some good acting. I'll say the word. Oh, Joan, tell Mad she's in this. Just the girls for the grand finale.
Oh, so we're sacked.
Yes, no good.
Oh, good. Well, we can have a drink. We've earned a drink, haven't we? Any dancing afterwards?
Oh, there might be after Mother's done her singing.
Oh, good. Do you dance, Beavers?
No, never had time for it.
Well, then we must have some dancing, Gerald.
You coming, Alan?
What's that? It's Robin! Oh!
Hello, kids! Hazel! Kay, many happies. Carol, my old auntie. Gosh, I've had a dash to get here in time. Did half the journey on one of our lorries. And I didn't forget the occasion, Kay.
Oh!
What about that?
Oh!
It's all right.
Robin! Oh, it's lovely!
That's the stuff to give them. And I finished. Out. Demobbed at last.
Oh, grand! Have you seen Mother?
Of course I have, you chump. You should have seen her face when I told her I was a civilian again. Golly, we're going to have some fun now, aren't we?
Lots and lots.
Have you seen Alan?
Just for a second. Still the solemn old bird, isn't it?
In my opinion, Alan was a very wonderful person.
I know you always thought that, didn't you? Can't quite see it myself, but I'm very fond of the old duffer. How's the writing, Kay?
Oh, I'm still trying, learning.
That's the stuff. We'll show 'em. This is where the Conways really begin.
Yes!
How many young men, Hazel?
Oh, nobody to speak of.
She'd worked her way up to colonels, hadn't you, Hayes?
Now that it's civilians, she's having to change her technique, and she's a bit uncertain.
All jealousy, that, isn't it, Hazel?
Isn't this nice? Now we're all here. I knew somehow you were coming, though you didn't let us know, you naughty boy.
Come on, you two. We can collect Madge out there. Remember, it's an American party, and we can't have anything to drink. And then after kicking up a row, you ask who's giving the party, and then I'll say pussyfoot. Yes.
Is there everything there you want, Robin?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mother. Gosh, you don't know what it feels like to be out at last.
Oh, don't I, you silly boy? What do you think I feel like to have you back at last? For good.
I must get some clothes.
Yes, some really nice ones. I wish you could go on wearing that uniform. You look so smart in it. Poor Alan, he was only a sergeant or something, you know, and he had the most awful uniform. Alan never looked right in the army.
It's got a piffling sort of job at the town hall, hasn't it?
Yes. He seems to like it, though. It might lead to something better later on.
I've got all sorts of plans, you know, Mother. We've all been talking things over in the mess, and one of our chaps knows Jimmy White. You know, the Jimmy White. You've heard of him. And he thinks that he can wangle me an introduction to him. My idea is something in the car and motorbike line. I understand him, and I've heard that people are buying like mad. And I have my gratuity, you know.
Yes. Well, we can talk about that later. We've plenty of time now, you know. Don't you think the girls are looking well?
Yes, first rate. Especially Hazel.
Oh, Hazel. She's the one everyone notices. Madge is teaching, you know, and she's hoping for a better school.
Good old Madge. I think I ought to go up to town for my clothes, Mother. Can't get anything really decent in Newlingham. I'm going to start selling cars, and I ought to look like a chap who knows a good suit when he sees one. Lord, it's grand to be back again. Not just on filthy little leave. Hey, Mother, steady. Nothing to cry about, no?
I know. It's just that losing your father and then the war coming, taking you. I'm not used to happiness. I've forgotten it. It's upsetting. Oh, Robin, now you are back. Don't go away, promise me. Don't leave us, not for years and years. Oh, let's all be cozy together and happy again, shall we? Of course.
Oh, Mrs. Conway, they finished the charades and some people are going, and Madge asked me to tell you they're expecting you to sing something.
Why couldn't she tell me herself?
Oh, she and Kay and Carol started handing people sandwiches and things as soon as they finished the charade.
Hello, Joan.
Hello, Robin. Is it nice to be back?
Yes, of course.
Really, this is an awful mess. I knew it would be. Joan, go and tell the girls she must take these things upstairs. Perhaps you'd like to help them, dear.
Oh, yes, rather.
You're looking very artful, Mother.
Am I? Not feeling very artful. Joan's grown into a nice-looking girl, hasn't she?
Quite.
She has a very pleasant, easy disposition. She's not very clever or go ahead or anything, but a thoroughly nice girl.
Yes, I'll bet she is.
They're all panting for a song, Mother. They don't even mind if it's German.
Well, thank goodness I didn't stop singing German songs. What have Schumann and Schubert got to do with Hindenburg and the Kaiser?
But he guessed the charade just because it was Pussyfoot, but they hadn't guessed any of the syllables.
Robin, come with me. I may want you and Anne to help me move the piano.
Righto!
No, not really. But I'm bursting with all kinds of feelings and thoughts and impressions, you know.
Yes, so am I. Millions and millions. I could possibly begin to write them.
No, but in my novel, a girl goes to a party, you see, and there are some things I've been feeling, very subtle things that I know she'd feel. And I want my novel to be very real this time, so I had to scribble them down.
Will you tell me them afterwards?
Yes.
Bedroom?
Yes, if you're not too sleepy.
I couldn't be. Kay, I think you're wonderful.
I think life's wonderful.
Both of you are.
Well. Kay.
Alan.
I am glad you could come. Oh, it was the only thing about this whole business that didn't make me hate the thought of it. The chance you might be able to come. Hey, but, Mother says you're not staying the night.
I can't, Alan. I must get back to London tonight.
Work.
Yes. I have to go to Southampton in the morning to write a nice little piece about the newest little film star.
Do you often have to do that?
Yes, quite often. There are an awful lot of film stars, and they're always arriving at Southampton. Except when they arrive at Plymouth, damn their eyes. And all the women readers of the Daily Courier like to read a bright half-column about their glamorous favourites.
They, look very nice, but all rather alike.
They are all rather alike. So my bright interviews with them. In fact, sometimes I feel we're all just going round and round like poor old circus ponies.
Are you writing another novel?
No, my dear, I'm not. I tell myself too many people are writing novels.
Well, yes, it does look like that sometimes.
Yes, but that's not the real reason. I still feel mine wouldn't be like theirs. Anyhow, not the next, even if the last was, but as things are, I just can't.
Kay, the last time you wrote, I mean, when you wrote to me, you sounded rather unhappy, I thought.
I was. I suppose that's why I suddenly remembered you and wrote. It's not very flattering to you, is it?
In a way it is, you know. Yes, I'd rather take that as a compliment.
Oh, Alan. And I loathe that coat you're wearing. It doesn't match the rest of you, does it?
No, Willie. See, I just wear it in the house. It's just an old coat, just as a house coat, and it saves the other one. Oh, dear, I know I ought not to have worn it tonight. I'll change it before the others arrive. It's just habit. Look, why were you so unhappy the last time you wrote?
Oh, something that was always ending really did come to an end just then. It lasted 10 years off and on, and eating more of one's life away when it was off than when it was on. He was married. There were children. Oh, it was the usual nasty muddle. Alan, you don't know what day it is today?
But I do. No, I do. Look.
Alan! You're an angel. And I never thought I'd ever have another single birthday present. And you know how old I am now? 40. 40.
I'm 44, and it's all right, you know. You'll like it. Oh, look at your present. I hope it's all right.
Hello, Kay. I didn't think you'd manage to be here. You hardly ever do come to Newlingham now, do you? And I must say, I don't blame you. Oh, what a...
Nice, isn't it? Alan's just given it to me.
Ah.
How are the children?
Oh, Richard's very well. But the doctor says Anne's tonsils ought to come out. Though who's to pay for the operation? He never thinks about that. They did enjoy those things you sent them at Christmas, Kay. I don't know what they'd have done without them. But I did my best.
I'm sure you did, Joan.
Alan was very good to them too, weren't you, Alan? Of course, it's not like they're having a father. No, I haven't seen Robin for months. Some people say I ought to divorce him, but I don't know. Okay. Doesn't that sound silly? Okay.
No, I'd stopped noticing it.
Richard's always saying it. He's heard it at the pictures, and of course Anne copies him. Do you think it's all right my coming here tonight? It was Hazel who said you were having a sort of family meeting. She thinks I ought to be here, and I think so too, but Granny Conway didn't ask me.
Joan, you don't call Mother Granny Conway.
I got into the habit, you know, with the children.
She must loathe it.
Yeah, I rather think she does, you know.
I must try and remember. Is she upstairs?
Yes, and Madge is here too.
Ah. I think I'll go up and ask if it's all right my staying. Otherwise I'd feel such a fool.
Yes. And tell her we think you ought to be here, if you want to be.
It's not that, but... You see, if it's about money, I must know something, mustn't I? After all, I'm Robin's wife, and Richard and Anne are his children.
Yeah, look, you tell Mother that if she objects, Joan, but she won't, though.
Oh, I know Robin's pretty hopeless, but really, Joan's such a fool.
Yes, but the way Robin's treated her has made her feel more of a fool than she really is. It's taken away all her confidence in herself, you see, Kay. Otherwise she mightn't have been so bad.
You used to like Joan, didn't you?
Do you remember when she and Robin told us they were engaged? I was in love with her then. It was the only time I ever fell in love with anybody. And I remember quite suddenly hating Robin. Yes, really hating him. Yeah, none of this loving and hating lasted. Of course, it was just silly stuff, but I do remember it quite well.
Suppose it had been you instead of Robin.
No. I wouldn't have done it at all, really. It would. It was the most unsuitable.
I've just told Mother. If I hadn't happened to be in the neighbourhood today, I've applied for the headship at Borderton, you know, Kay, and had my interview there this afternoon. Nothing would have induced me to be here tonight.
Well, I don't know why you bother telling her, Madge. You are here, that's all that matters.
No, it isn't. I wanted to understand quite clearly I've no further interest in these family muddles, financial or otherwise. So I would have thought it unnecessary to ask for another day away from my work at Collingfield just to attend another of these ridiculous, hysterical conferences.
You talk as if you've been dragged here every few weeks.
No, I haven't, but I've had a good many more of these silly discussions than you have, Kay. Mother and Gerald Thornton seem to imagine that the time of a woman journalist in London is far more important than that of a senior mistress at a large girls' public school. Why, I can't think. The result is that I've been called in often when you haven't.
All right, but seeing as we're both here now, let's make the best of it.
Yes, let's.
Joan's here. I hope there's no chance of Robin coming too. That's something you've missed so far, Kay. I've had one experience of their suddenly meeting here. Robin half drunk, insulting everybody. Joan weeping and resentful. The pair of them discussing every detail of their private life. It's not an experience I want to repeat.
I don't blame you, Madge, but for the Lord's sake, be human tonight. You're not talking to the Collingfield common room now. This is your nice brother Alan. I'm your nice sister Kay. We know all about you.
That's just where you're mistaken. You know hardly anything about me, any of you. The life that you don't see, call it the Collingfield common room if that amuses you, is my real life. It represents exactly the sort of person I am now, and what you and Alan and Mother remember, and trust Mother not to forget anything embarrassing or foolish, is no longer of any importance at all.
I'd hate to think that, Madge.
No. And look, really, that isn't true.
Are you doing anything besides this popular journalism now, Kay? Have you begun another book?
No.
Pity, isn't it?
What about you, Madge? You building Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land?
Possibly not. But I'm trying to put a little knowledge of history into the heads of 150 middle-class girls. It's hard work and it's useful work. It's certainly nothing to be ashamed of.
Then why be ashamed?
I'm not.
Oh, Madge. Kay. Hazel, my dear. Oh, you're grander every time I see you.
Do you like it?
Oh, yes, and you didn't get that in Newlingham at the Bon Marché. Do you remember when we used to think the Bon Marché marvellous?
Yes, and now they seem ghastly, don't they? Well, that's something. Is Joan here?
Yes, she's upstairs with Mother. Hazel, is Ernest coming tonight?
I don't know.
I thought it was understood that he was coming. Mother thinks he is. I rather think she's counting on it.
Well, she mustn't have told her not to. I don't even know if he'll be here at all.
This is ridiculous. We're told that things are desperate. Kay and I have to leave our work, travel miles and miles, stop thinking about anything else. And now you don't even know if your own husband's prepared to walk down the road to be here.
But you know what Ernest is. He said he might come tonight, and then I asked him again only at lunchtime today, and he said he didn't know. And then I didn't like.
You didn't like? You mean you didn't dare? That miserable...
Madge, please stop.
How are the children?
Oh, Peter's got a cold again, poor lamb. He's always getting colds. Margaret's all right. There's never any trouble with her.
Oh, you forgot her last birthday, Kay. The child was so disappointed.
I'm sorry. Tell her I'll make up for it at Christmas. I must have been away in a job or something.
Oh, I read that last article you wrote about Manor Law, you know, about 3 months ago when she came over from Hollywood. Did she really say all those things to you, Kay, or did you make them up?
She said some of them. The rest I made up.
Well, I think you're very lucky. Meeting all these people and being in London and all that. And look at me, I'm still in Newlingham. And I loathe Newlingham. Gets worse and worse, doesn't it, Alan? Though I don't suppose you notice.
I think it's about the same, really. Perhaps we get worse, that's all.
Someone was saying to me only the other day how strange they thought you were, Alan. And you are, really, aren't you? I mean, you don't seem to bother about anything the way most people do. I've often wondered whether you're happy inside or just dull. Then I often wonder about people like that, don't you? Oh, Robin rang me last night. He's living in Leicester now, you know, and I told him about tonight. He said he might look in because he wouldn't be far away.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't.
What's he doing now, Hazel?
Oh, I don't know. He's always changing, you know, but it's something to do with commission. Should I tell Joan he might be here?
No. Risk it.
Oh, Hazel, isn't Ernest here?
No, Mother. I hope he'll be here soon.
Oh. Well, I can't really begin without Gerald. He knows how things are exactly. Now, I think we should have both port and whiskey out, don't you? I've told the girl to leave it in the dining room. Better bring it in. Now, the point is, should we all sit around looking very stiff and formal? You know, make this a proper business affair, because after all, it is a business affair. Or should we make everybody cozy and comfortable? Or what do you think, Kay?
I think, Mother, you're enjoying all this.
Oh, why shouldn't I? It's nice to have all my children at home again, even Madge. I say it's nice to have all you children at home again, even you, Madge.
I am not a child, and this is no longer my home.
You were a child once, and for 20 years this was your home. And please don't use that tone of voice to me. You're not in a schoolroom now, remember?
Oh, Mother, please. This isn't going to be easy tonight.
It's all right, Hazel. Mother enjoys things not being easy.
Well, Kay, who was that man the Lipson saw you dining with at the... what's the name of the restaurant?
The Ivy, Mother. And the man is a man called Hugo Steele. I've told you already.
Well, yes, but you didn't tell me much. I suppose he's an old friend.
Yes.
Oh, what a pity you couldn't... I mean, if he's a really nice
Yes, a great pity.
man... I always thought you'd settle down with some really nice man.
Mother, I'm 40 today. Had you forgotten?
No, I had not. A mother always remembers. Joan?
Yes, Granny Conway.
Oh, don't call me that ridiculous name.
I forgot, I'm sorry.
Didn't I tell you it was Kay's birthday? There.
No, Mother, you mustn't, really.
Your father gave this to me the second Christmas after we were married. Really is a charming little brooch. Look at the colour in those stones. We always get that colour in the old South American diamonds. There.
It's very sweet of you, but really, I'd rather not take this from you.
Nonsense. It's mine, and now I give it to you. Take it, or I'll be cross. Very many happy returns, darling. Do you know, when you were young, I never liked you as much as I did Hazel. Now I think I was wrong.
Oh, Mother.
But I can't help it, dear. You're such a fool with that silly little husband of yours. Why, if he were my husband...
But he isn't. And you really know very little about him.
It's time the men were here. I hate to see a lot of women sitting around without any men. They always look silly. Then I feel silly myself. I don't know why. Oh, I was forgetting you, Alan, or forgetting you were a man.
Oh, well, I must grow a shaggy beard and drum on my chest and roar.
This is not good port. Now, even I know that. The men always say women know nothing about it. But it's warm and comforting, like a handsome compliment. That's gone too. No one pays compliments anymore. Oh, that's probably Gerald.
At last.
Yes, Madge, but you needn't be so impatient. Good evening, Ernest.
Evening.
Oh, Gerald, won't you have something to drink before we start talking?
No, thank you. How are you, Kay?
Quite well, thank you, Gerald. I'm sorry, but it's true.
What is?
I remember your saying years ago that you didn't mind living in Newlingham, but you were determined to be as different as possible from the Newlingham type of man.
I don't remember saying that.
Yes, you did. And now, I'm sorry, Gerald, but it's true, you suddenly look like all those Newlingham men rolled into one.
What do? Apologize?
Oh, Ernest, I'm so glad you're here.
You are, eh?
But I suppose that means you won't stay now, just to show me.
I don't need to show you. You know by this time.
Oh, Ernest, please be nice to them tonight. Especially to Mother. You could be such a help.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, now sit down, everyone, and pay attention. Hazel, do stop fidgeting about and sit down. We must be very businesslike, mustn't we, Gerald? I'm so glad you were able to come, Ernest. You'll help us to be businesslike, won't you?
Yes.
Doesn't mean you're at liberty to make yourself unpleasant.
Quiet, Madge. Now, Gerald, we're all waiting. Tell us all about it.
Acting under instructions from Mrs. Conway, after it was decided you should all meet here, I have prepared a brief statement of Mrs. Conway's present financial position.
Gerald,
Yes?
must you talk in that awful, dry, inhuman way? I mean, I've known you since you were a child. The children here have known you all their lives. You're beginning to sound as though you've never seen any of us before. It sounds so horrid.
But I'm not here now as a friend of the family, but as your solicitor.
No, you're here as a friend of the family who also happens to be my solicitor. And I do think it's better for everyone if you told us in a simple, friendly manner just what the position is.
Yeah, I do think that would be better, Gerald.
So do I. When you turn on that legal manner, I can't take you seriously. I feel you're still acting in one of our old charades.
Oh, weren't they fun? And you were so good in them, Gerald. Why can't we have some more?
What, at your age?
I don't see why not. Mother was older than we are now, and she used to play them.
You're not proposing to turn this into a charade, are you, Hazel?
What a pity it isn't one.
Perhaps it is.
Now, Alan, don't you be silly as well. Now, Gerald, just tell us exactly how things are. Don't read us a lot of figures and dates and things. You can save them for anyone who wants to have a look at them. But perhaps you'd like to have a look at them afterwards, Ernest.
I might. Go ahead.
Well, the position is this. Mrs. Conway has for a long time now derived her income from two sources. A holding in Farrow & Conway Limited and the houses at the north end of Church Road. Farrow & Conway were hit badly by the slump, and the houses in Church Road are not worth anything like what they were. And the only chance of making that property pay is to convert the houses into flats. This would demand a substantial outlay of capital. Mrs. Conway has received an offer for her holding in Farrow & Conway, but it is a very poor offer. It would not pay for the reconstruction of a Church Road property. In the meantime, that property may soon become a liability rather than an asset.
I must say I'm very much surprised. I'd always understood that Mother was left extremely well provided for.
Certainly I was. Your father saw to that.
Both the shares and the property have declined in value.
Yes, but even so, I'm still surprised. Mother must have been very extravagant.
Mrs. Conway has not been as careful as she might have been.
There were 6 of you to bring up and educate.
I know about that. It's not that. It's since then the money's been spent. And I know who must have had most of it. Robin.
How dare you? It was my money.
No, it wasn't. It was only yours to hold in trust for us. Alan, you're the eldest. You've been here all the time. Why haven't you done something?
Well, you see, I'm afraid I haven't bothered much about these
Well,
things.
then you ought to have done. I think it's absolutely wicked. I've been working hard, earning my living for over 20 years, and I was looking forward to having something from what Father left. Enough for a few really good holidays, or to buy myself a little house. And now it's all gone, because Mother and Robin between them have flung it away.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself talking to me like that. What if I have helped Robin? He needed it and I'm his mother. If you needed it, I'd have helped you too.
No, you wouldn't. When I told you I had a chance to buy a partnership in that school, you only laughed at me.
Yes, because you were perfectly well off where you were. You didn't need to buy any partnerships.
And Robin did, I suppose.
Yes, because he's a man. With a wife and children to support. Oh, really, this is typical of you, Madge. You call yourself a socialist. It turns out you're the most mercenary of us all.
I do not call myself a socialist, though that has nothing to do.
How long does this go on? Because I've got something else to do.
No, it's all right, Ernest. Look what you've done now. You've made Joan cry again. I'm sorry. It's just I remembered so many things, that's all.
At the present moment, Mrs. Conway has a considerable overdraft at the bank. Now, there are two possible courses of action. One is to sell the houses for what they'll fetch and to hold on to the shares, but I warn you, the houses won't fetch much. The alternative is to sell the shares and then to raise an additional sum, probably between £2,000 and £3,000, and to convert the houses into flats.
We've had a scheme from an architect, and really, it does look most attractive. Well, don't you think it's a good idea, Ernest? I don't know. I thought if we discussed things in a simple, friendly manner, we could decide something. I know you businessmen like everything to be cut and dried, but I do think it's better to be nice and friendly. It's not true that people will only do things for money. People are nice and kind, really. Why, only the other day, I went to old Mrs. Jessup's funeral, and I was walking back through the cemetery. I haven't been there for years. I came upon Carol's grave. Well, of course it upset me terribly coming upon it suddenly like that. But do you know, it was so beautifully kept with flowers, lovely flowers growing on it. And I thought to myself, well, now there's an instance. Nobody paid them for it or told them to do it. It's just natural kindness.
No, it isn't. Somebody must be paying them for it.
Alan, it must be you, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I send them something once a year. It isn't much.
It's 16 years ago.
70.
Why, my Margaret's nearly as big as she was. Doesn't that seem strange, Kay?
I'd nearly forgotten about Carol, too.
Well, don't think I had just because I was stupid about that grave. I'm not the sort of person who remembers graves. It's human beings I remember. Why, only the other afternoon I was sitting upstairs and I heard Carol's voice shouting, "Mother, Mother," well, you know the way she used to. And I thought about her, my poor darling, and how she came into me that awful day, her face quite greyish, and she said to me, "Oh, Mother, I've the most terrible pain." And then it was too late.
Yes, Mother, we remember.
I'll tell you what you don't remember, and what some of you never even knew. She was the best of the lot, that one, little Carol. Worth all the rest of you put together.
Ernest.
Yes, and I'm counting you in. Oh, you're the one I wanted. It's all right, I got the one I wanted. But it didn't take me 2 hours to see that little Carol was the best of the lot. Didn't surprise me when she went off like that. Out. Finish. Too good to last.
Ernest is quite right. She was the best of you all. Oh, my darling baby, I haven't forgotten you. I haven't forgotten you. Why isn't Robin here? Oh, go on explaining to them, Gerald. I won't be long. No, don't move.
Surely, under the circumstances, it's absurd for Mother and Alan to go on living in this house. It's much too large for them.
Yes, we certainly could do with something much smaller now.
Then this house could be sold. That would help. It's Mother's freehold, isn't it?
Yes. I think it would be better to move into something smaller just to cut down on living expenses, but this house wouldn't fetch very much now.
My mother was offered thousands and thousands for it just after the war.
Yes, but this isn't just after the war, it's just before the next war.
How much do you think, Ernest?
Take anything you can get for it.
Well, what are we supposed to do? If the worst comes to the worst, we can club together to keep Mother going.
But it's monstrous.
Hello. All here. Where's Mother?
She's gone upstairs.
Well, Joan, how are the offspring?
Oh, they're very well, Robin.
Still telling them what an awful man their father is?
We're going to have this all over again?
No, you're not, dear old Madge. Do I see a drink over there? I do. Gerald, have a drink. Ernest, drink? No? Well, I will. Hello, Kay. Condescending to visit the provinces again, eh?
Yes, but I have to be back sometime tonight.
Don't blame you.
What are you doing now, Robin?
Trying to sell a new heavy motor oil. I ought to have tried your stunt. Writing. I could tell them something. My oath, I could. Well, don't let me interrupt the business. Or are you waiting for Mother?
No, we're better off without her.
Yes, you would think that. But don't forget it's her money.
Robin, oh, this is nice. Are you staying the night?
I wasn't, but I could.
We were just saying, Mother, it's absurd for you to go on living in this house.
That's for Mother to decide.
No, it's all right. The house is too big, and if I sold it, I could probably raise enough to convert the church road houses into flats.
No, you couldn't. Nothing like.
Ernest, I was offered £4,000 for it once.
Well, you should have taken it.
I'm afraid you can't count on getting much for this house now, though, of course, you would save money by moving into a smaller place.
Not much, sir. She'd have to pay rent for the smaller place, and this is hers.
But the rates and taxes are fairly heavy on this house. I want you all to understand that the present situation is very unsatisfactory. The overdraft can be paid off, of course, simply by selling shares, or some of the houses. But after that, Mrs. Conway would be worse off than ever. If the money for the conversion scheme could be raised, then the Church Road property would bring in a decent income.
And I'm quite sure that that's the right thing to do.
But after you've sold your shares, you still have to raise another £2,000 or £3,000 to pay for the conversion into flats.
Couldn't I borrow that?
Not from the bank. I've tried that.
Ernest could lend you the money.
What?
Well, you could easily afford it, Ernest.
From what I hear, you're very well off indeed these days, Ernest.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Seems only yesterday you first came here, a shy young man from nowhere.
It's 20 years ago, but that's just what I was. A shy young man from nowhere. And when I managed to wangle my way into this house, I thought I'd got somewhere. Yes, and I was made to feel I'd got somewhere too. But I stuck it. I've always been able to stick it when I've had my mind on something I badly wanted. That's how I've managed to get on.
Don't begin to tell us now. You landed here with a shilling in your pocket.
No, Robin.
I wasn't going to. Don't worry, you're not going to get the story of my life. All I was about to say was that as far as I'm concerned, you can whistle for your £2,000 or £3,000. You won't get a penny from me. Oh, and I might as well tell you while I'm making myself unpleasant that I could lend you the £2,000 or £3,000 without feeling it. Only I'm not going to, not a penny.
You make me feel ashamed.
Oh? Why? Go on. Tell them why I make you feel ashamed. Tell me. Or would you like to wait till later when I'm telling you a few things?
I never did like you, Beavers. I've half a mind to boot you out of this house.
You do, and I'll bring an action for assault. And I'd enjoy it. My money or the boot, eh? Well, I told Hazel a long time ago that not one of you would ever get a penny out of me. And I'm not mean. Ask her. But I swore to myself after the very first night I came here, when you were all being so high and mighty, especially you, that you'd never see a penny that I ever made.
I see.
What's that mean? My God, she has. She's been giving you money. My money.
Oh, Robin, you shouldn't.
What's it matter? He can't eat you.
Come on.
Don't go if you don't want to.
Hazel, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Oh, there is. I'm frightened of him. Except right at the first, I've always been frightened of him.
Don't be silly, that little pipsqueak. What can he do?
I don't know, it isn't that. It's just something about him.
Come on. I'm going.
No. You sneaked your way in here, Ernest Beavers, and you somehow persuaded my daughter, who was the prettiest girl in Newlingham, into marrying you.
Oh, Mother, please,
Go
don't.
on, tell him now what I always wanted to tell him. I was a fool. My husband would never have allowed just a mean, sneaking little rat near the house. I never liked you, and I'm not surprised to hear you've always hated us. Don't come here again. Don't ever let me set eyes on you again. I wish I were Hazel for just one day. I'd show you something. What you, my daughter... Ugh. Now bring an action for that.
You've done a lot of damn silly things in your time, Mrs. Conway. But you'll find that's the damn silliest. Come on.
Oh, Mother, you shouldn't.
She did quite right. Just you let me know if he gives you any trouble.
No, Robin, you don't understand. You don't understand.
Well. Suppose that was rather a silly thing to do.
I'm afraid it was, you know.
You see, it's Hazel who'll have to pay for it.
Well, it's her own fault. I've no patience with her. I wouldn't stand it for 10 minutes.
It's no use you talking, Matt. You simply don't understand. You've never been married.
No. And after what I've seen here, I think I'm lucky.
Oh, you're not lucky. You never were, and you never will be. And as you haven't the faintest idea what a woman's real life is like, the less you have to say, the better. Robin, give me another port. Have another drink yourself.
I don't think there's any point in my staying any longer.
We haven't settled anything yet.
I thought there was a chance that Ernest Beavers might have been persuaded to lend you the money, as I don't think anybody else here has £3,000 to spare.
All right, Thornton. No need to be so damn supercilious about it. It seems to me you've not made a particularly bright job of handling my mother's affairs.
That doesn't come too well from you. For years I have given good advice, and never once has it been acted upon. Now I'd be only too happy to hand over these affairs.
I believe I could make a better job of it myself.
I can't imagine a worse possible choice. Good night, Kay. Good night, Alan.
I think I'll come along too, Gerald.
You'll be able to have a nice little chat about me on the way.
It doesn't hurt as much as it used to do, Robin, when you say such bitter things. One day I suppose it won't hurt at all.
Sorry, old girl. Give my love to the kids. Say I'm coming to see them soon.
Yes, come and see us soon. Only remember, we're very poor now.
Thanks for that. And then you talk about being bitter.
Good night, my dear.
It was nice seeing you.
Well, now we ought to be able to settle something.
So far as I'm concerned, this has simply been a waste of time and nervous energy.
You know, Madge, when I think of Gerald Thornton as he is now, a dreary, middle-aged bachelor, I begin to think it's a pity you didn't marry him.
Well, Madge, I never knew she fancied Gerald Thornton.
Oh, yes, she did, once, didn't you, dear? I believe he was interested. It's a long time ago, when all you children were still at home.
Mother, if that's not true, then it's stupid, silly talk. If it is true, then it's cruel.
Don't you be so high and mighty, please, Kay.
It was true. A long time ago. Just after the war. When I still thought we could suddenly make everything better for everybody. Socialism, universal brotherhood, all that. I thought then that Gerald Thornton and I together could help. He had a lot of fine qualities, I thought. I believe he had then, too. I was remembering tonight, looking at him. It all came back. One evening, just one evening, and something that you did that evening ruined it all. I'd almost forgotten. But seeing us all here again together reminded me. I believe it was at some sort of party for you, Kay. Do you remember?
You're being absurd. I do remember some bit of nonsense when we were all being foolish.
Yes, you remember. It was quite deliberate on your part. Just to keep a useful young man unattached, or jealousy of a girl's possible happiness, or just out of sheer nasty female mischief. And something went forever.
Well, it couldn't have been worth very much then.
I'm glad I'm not a mother.
Oh, yes, you may well say that.
I know how I'd have despised myself if I'd turned out to be a bad mother.
So that's what you call me? Just because things haven't happened the way you wanted them, you turn on me? All my fault? You never think about me. You never pay a moment's thought to my point of view. When you were young, I was so proud of you all, so confident that you would grow up to be wonderful creatures. I could see myself the age I am now, surrounded by you and your children, so proud of you, so happy with you all. This house happier and gayer even than it was in the best of the old days. Now my life has gone by, and what's happened? You're a bitter, soured schoolmistress, middle-aged before your time. Hazel, the loveliest girl there ever was, married to a miserable little brute and terrified of him. Kay there, gone away to live her own life, and very bitter and secretive about it, as if she were ashamed. And Carol, the loveliest and kindest of you all, dead before she's 20. And Robin.
Mother.
No, I don't blame you now. I must speak the truth for once. With a wife he doesn't love and no position or comfort or anything. And Alan, the eldest, the boy his father adored, what is he now? A shabby little man with no position, no comfort, no self-respect. A shabby little man that nobody would look at twice. Yes, a shabby little clerk that nobody would look at twice.
How dare you, Mother? How dare you, Alan of all people?
No, that's all right, Kate. Don't get excited. It's not a bad description. I am a shabby little clerk, you know. It must be very disappointing.
Oh, don't you be so forgiving. You've always been weak and selfish and a bit of a good-for-nothing.
Yeah, steady, old girl. I've had some rotten bad luck, too, you know. A lot of it is just bad luck. I've come to see that.
Yes, add the bad luck too, my dear. All I know is you're my own boy and my own sort and my only comfort. And you and I will go upstairs and talk.
That's the spirit.
Mother, we've both said what we wanted to say. There's nothing else to be said. If you decide to have any more of these family conferences, please don't bother to ask me, because I shan't attend. I don't expect now to see a penny of Father's money. Please don't you expect to see any of mine.
Who wants yours?
Come along, my dear. We'll talk like human beings.
I have an idea I wasn't too pleasant when we met earlier this evening, Kay. If so, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Madge. Are you going back to Collingfield tonight?
No, I can't. I'm staying with Nora Fleming. She's head of Newlingham High now. I'd better go. I don't want to see Mother again.
Goodbye, Madge. I hope you collar one of these headships.
Goodbye, Kay. Do try to write a good book instead of all this useless journalism.
You've a good half hour yet, Kay, before you need to set out for the London train, and I'll take you to the station. Oh dear. What's the matter? Has all this been a bit much for you?
Apparently. And I thought I was tough now, Alan. Look, I was doing the modern working woman. Cigarette and a whiskey and soda. It's no good, though. You see, Alan, I've not only been here tonight. I've been here remembering other nights. Long ago, when we weren't like this.
I know. Those old Christmas and birthday parties.
I remembered. I saw all of us then. Myself, too. Oh, silly girl of 1919. Oh, lucky girl.
Oh, look, come here. Come and sit down. Here, okay. Here. Look, you mustn't mind too much. It's all right, you know. It's, well, it's like being 40, hmm?
No, Alan. It's hideous and unbearable. Remember what we once were. And what we thought we'd be. To now this. And it's all we have, Alan. It's us. Every step we've taken. Every tick of the clock making everything worse. God, if this is all life was, what's the use? Better to die like Carol before you find it out. Before time gets to work on you.
Kate, do you remember Blake? Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go.
Safely through the world we go. No, it isn't true, Alan. Or it isn't true for me. Oh, if things were merely mixed, good and bad, that would be all right, but they get worse.
No.
We've seen it tonight. Time's beating us.
No, Kate, time's only a kind of dream. We're seeing another bit of the view, well, a bad bit, if you like. But the whole landscape's still there.
But, Alan, we can't be anything but what we are now.
It's difficult to explain, but the point is that now, at this moment, or any moment, we're only a cross-section of our real selves. And what we really are is the whole stretch of ourselves, all our time. And when we come to the end of this life, all those selves, all our time will be the real us.
You really believe time's not taking our lives away? Wrecking and ruining everything forever?
I believe that half our trouble now is that we think time's ticking our lives away, and that's why we snatch and grab and hurt each other.
As if we were all in a panic in a sinking ship.
Yes. Like that.
But you don't do those things, bless you.
Well, I believe it's easier not to if you take the long view.
As if we're mortal beings.
Yes. And in for a tremendous adventure. Well. Okay.
Alan?
Yes?
No, nothing.
I believe you've been asleep while Mother was singing.
No. I was sitting here listening. Turned the light out. No, I didn't fall asleep. Perhaps I did. Just for a second. It couldn't have been longer.
Most of the people are going now. You better go and say goodnight.
Hazel, you greedy pig.
I didn't come in here just to eat this.
Of course you did.
They're all saying good night out there, and I'm dodging that little horror Gerald Thornton brought.
Oh, I must say my piece to them.
Hazel. Yeah, what's Joan Helford going to do now?
I'll just mooch around for a bit.
I thought I heard her say she was going away. I just wondered, is she leaving Newlingham?
Oh, she's only going to stay with her aunt. Joan's always staying with aunts. Is there anything else you'd like to know about Jen?
No. I just wondered. Oh, you going?
In a minute.
Right.
Oh, Alan, you're not going?
Yes, I have to say goodnight and get their coats and things.
I just looked in to say good night, Miss Conway.
Oh. Yes, of course. Well...
It's been a great pleasure to me to come here and meet you all.
Oh. Well...
Especially you. I'm new round here, you know. Only been in the place about 3 months. I bought a share in that paper mill, Eckersley's, out at West Newlingham. You know it?
No.
Thought you might have noticed it. It's been there long enough. Matter of fact, it wants rebuilding, but that's where I am. And I hadn't been here a week before I noticed you, Miss Conway.
Oh, did you?
Yes. And I've been watching out for you ever since. Expect you've noticed me knocking about.
No, can't say as I have.
Oh, yes, you must have done. Come on now, admit it.
Well, if you must know, I have noticed you.
Yes, I thought so.
It's because you behaved very stupidly and rudely. If you want to look silly yourself, that's your own affair, but no right to make me look silly too.
Oh. Didn't know it had been that bad.
Well, it has.
I'm sorry. Though, I can't see anybody's much the worse for it. And in my opinion, you're the best-looking girl in this town, Miss Hazel Conway. I've been telling you that in my mind for the past 2 months. But I knew it wouldn't be long before I got to know you to tell you properly. Expect you're thinking I'm not much of a chap. But there's a bit more in me than meets the eye. A few people have found that out already, and a lot more will find it out before so long here in Newlingham. You'll see. Would it be all right if I sort of, called to see you sometime soon?
Well, you'd better ask my mother.
Oh, sort of ask Mama business, eh?
I don't mean it like that at all. I just mean that this is Mother's house.
Yes, but you're old enough now to have your own friends, aren't you?
I don't make friends very quickly.
Oh? I'd heard you did.
Do you mean that you've been discussing me with people?
Yes. Why not?
Oh, yes. It was a great lark. We weren't in uniform, you know. I did some stoking. Hard work, but a great stunt.
It wasn't. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Why?
Because breaking a strike and being a blackleg isn't a lark and a stunt. Those railwaymen don't go on strike for fun. It's a very serious thing for them. And then people like you, Robin, think it's amusing to break the strike and do their work for them. I think it's shameful the way the middle classes turn against the working class.
But there had to be some sort of train service.
Why? If people had to do without trains altogether, they might realise the railwaymen have some grievances.
They might, but I've an idea they'd be too busy with their own grievance. No trains. And you only want a few more railway strikes, then half the traffic will be gone forever. Turn to road transport. And what do you clever railwaymen do then? And another thing. The working class is out for itself. Why shouldn't the middle class be out for itself?
Because the middle class must have already been out for itself, as you call it.
Well, what do you call it? Something in Latin?
I say that the middle class must have already been out for itself, or it wouldn't be a comfortable middle class. So, why turn against the working class when it tries to look after itself?
Well, that's easy. There's only so much to go around. If you take more, then I get less.
I'm sorry, but that's bad economics as well as bad ethics.
But we'd have Red Revolution like Russia if we started to listen to these wild...
I think it's all very silly. Why can't people agree?
Oh, Miss Conway?
Yeah? Oh, yes. Good night.
Well, I came here for something, Robin. What was it?
Don't ask me. Were you in the army?
Yes, 2 years.
What crush?
Army pay corps.
That must have been nice of you.
Mr. Beavers? Oh, you look put out.
That's just about it. Out.
I believe you're all hot and angry inside, aren't you?
Or disappointed. Which is it?
A mixture, I expect. Well, Mr. Beavers, you mustn't. You were very nice about the charade and very good in it, too. I don't suppose you've ever played before, have you?
No, they didn't go in for that sort of thing in my family.
No. I don't think you've had enough fun. That's your trouble, Mr. Beavers. You must come and play charades again.
You're all right, you know.
We're all right, you know. And don't forget that, Mr. Beavers.
You're a funny kid.
I'm not very funny, and I'm certainly not a kid.
Oh, sorry.
I'll forgive you. This time.
Oh, I was just going, Mrs. Conway. You coming along?
No, Mr. Thornton and I have some business matters to discuss.
I see. Well, good night, Mrs. Conway. And I'm very pleased to have met you.
Good night, Mr. Beavers. Carol, would you?
Yes! I'll set you and your horse on a big trail, partner.
I'm sorry if your little friend thought he was being pushed out, but the children would never speak to me if I encouraged him to stay any longer.
I'm afraid Beavers wasn't a success.
Well, he is rather... isn't he?
I did warn you, you know, and he was so desperately keen to meet the famous Conways.
Hazel, you mean?
Hazel especially, but he was determined to know the whole family.
Well, they are rather an attractive lot of children.
Only outshone by their attractive mother.
Really, Gerald, I do believe you're going to flirt with me.
Of course I am. By the way, there wasn't any business you wanted to discuss, was there?
No, not really. Oh, I think you ought to know I've had another enormous offer for this house. Of course, I wouldn't dream of selling it, but it's nice to know it's worth so much. Oh, and young George Farrow says he would like to buy my shares in the firm and that he's ready to make me an offer that would surprise me.
I believe it would be pretty handsome, too. But of course, there's no point in selling out when they're paying 15 cents. And once we're really out of this wartime atmosphere and government restrictions are off, there's going to be a tremendous boom.
Isn't it lovely? I suddenly feel I'm the happiest woman in the world. All my children around me, safe at last, very happy.
It's hide and seek all over the house.
Did he say all over the house?
Yes.
Oh, not in my room, please, Robin.
Mother's room's barred.
Who's going to be in?
Oh, come on, Mother.
Now, here I'm shouting about the house again. You don't know what that means.
Stay there! We're cheating!
I'll count 50. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27.
Oh, Alan, don't hide in here.
I came especially. I saw you coming.
No, please, go somewhere else.
You look so pretty, Joan.
Oh, do I? Oh, that's very sweet of you.
Can I stay there?
No, please. It's so much more fun if you go somewhere else. Oh, Alan, don't spoil it.
Spoil what?
The game, of course. Oh, go on. There's a pet.
47, 48, 49, 50!
You can't go out that way now. Come here. You'll have to go out of the window and bend round.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
No,
go on,
but I
Alan.
came here because
oh,
of...
please.
All right.
Go on. Quickly.
Goodbye, Joan.
If you were the only girl in the world.
And I was the only boy.
All right, Joan Helford. Where are you? Joan Helford! Where are you?
There's no escape for little...
Joan! No escape.
For little...
Joan! No. No, no, no. No escape.
Oh, Robin.
Oh, Joan.
I suppose you've been doing this to dozens of girls.
Yes, Joan. Doesn't.
I thought so.
Like that, Joan. But not like this.
Do you remember that morning you went away very early a year ago?
Yes, but you weren't there. Only Mother and
I
Hazel.
was there too. Only I didn't let any of you see me.
You got up at that filthy hour just to see me go.
Yes, of course. It was awful. Trying to hide and trying not to cry all at the same time.
But Joan, I'd no idea.
I didn't mean to give myself away.
Oh, Joan. Gosh. This is marvelous.
You don't love me.
Of course I do. Golly, this is great. We're going to have the scrummiest time.
Oh, yes, but Robin, it's very serious.
Oh, yes. I don't feel that too, but there's no reason why we can't enjoy ourselves, is it?
Oh, let's be happy forever and ever.
I thought so. They're in here, courting. I knew there was a catch in this hide and seek.
Sorry. Let's start again.
No, thank you, Robin.
You'd better explain to Mother. I'm going to make tea.
Well, Madge, it sounds all right, and I know this Lord Robert Cecil's a fine chap, but I don't quite see where I come into it.
Because in a few weeks' time there'll be a branch of this League of Nations Union here in Newlingham. Well, I can't do much about it because I'll be away, but well, you could be organising secretary or something.
Well, I don't know that I'd be much good.
Yes, you would. You'd be perfect. Well, you're good at business, you know how to handle people, you'd be a good public speaker.
Yeah.
Oh, Gerald, you are maddening.
Why, Madge? What have I done now?
We are friends, aren't we?
I consider you one of my very best friends, Madge, and I hope I'm not flattering myself.
Of course not.
Good. So?
You're not doing enough, Gerald.
Well, I'm kept pretty busy, you know.
Oh, yes, I don't mean you're lazy. Well, I'm not sure that you're not a bit, you know, Gerald. I mean that you're not doing enough with yourself.
Oh.
I could be tremendously proud of you.
Well, that's almost overwhelming, coming from you, Madge.
Why from me?
Because I know very well that you've got a very good brain and are a most critical young man. Rather frightening.
Oh, nonsense. You mustn't think that. I'd much rather you didn't.
All right, I don't. As a matter of fact, I'm very fond of you, Madge, although I don't often get the chance of showing you that I am.
Oh, well, I've always been very fond of you too, Gerald. That's why I say I could be tremendously proud of you. We're going to build up a new world now. This horrible old war was just necessary like a bonfire to throw away all the nasty rubbish of the world. Now, civilization can really begin at last, because people have learnt their lesson.
I hope so.
Oh, Gerald, don't be so pessimistic, so cynical.
Sorry, but a lawyer, even a young one, sees quite a lot of human nature in his office. A procession of people with their quarrels and grievances, and sometimes I wonder how much people are capable of learning.
Well, that's because you've had to deal with all the stupid ones. But people have learnt, you'll see. There'll be no more wars, no more piling up armaments, no more hate and intolerance and violence. Oh, Gerald, I believe when we look back in 20 years' time, we'll be amazed at the progress that's been made. Because things will happen really quickly now.
Well, that's true enough.
Well, so is all the rest. Under the League, we're going to build up a new commonwealth of all the nations, so that there'll be peace forever. Imperialism will go, so in the end will capitalism. There'll be no more booms, no more slumps, no more strikes, because the people themselves will hold both the political and the economic power. Socialism at last. I will not cease from mental fight, nor shall my sword sleep in my hand, till we have built Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land.
Madge, you're inspired tonight. I hardly recognize you. You're...
This is the real me. Oh, Gerald, in this new world we're going to build up, men and women will go forward together, sharing everything.
Really, Madge, your hair's in an awful mess. You've made your nose all shiny. You're horribly untidy. I'm sure you're in the middle of some socialist speech that must be boring. Poor Gerald.
Mother. What, Hazel? You know.
I think I'd better be going.
Oh, no, don't go. Kay and Carol are making some tea, and we'll all be nice and cozy in here together.
Well, I fancy it's rather late. Well, it is. It's after 11. I really must go. I've got an appointment early in the morning and one or two things to look at before I turn in. So, good night, Kay. Thank you for a very nice party. And now that you're properly grown up, I hope you'll be happy.
Thank you, Gerald. Do you think I will?
I don't know, Kay. I really don't know.
No, I'll see you out, Gerald.
Good night. I've always thought it must be much more fun being a girl than being a man.
I'm never sure.
Sometimes I think men seem quite hopelessly dull, like creatures made out of wood. And then, at other times, they seem to have all the fun.
Kay, just now, this very minute, I wish I wasn't a girl. I'd like to be a man. One of those men with red faces and big loud voices who just don't care what anybody says about them.
Perhaps they do, though.
I'd like to be one of those who don't.
Why all this?
Now, let's have some tea and be nice and cozy together. Where's Robin?
Spooning in the dining room with Jones.
Joan's still here. I really think she might leave us to ourselves now. After all, it's the first time we've all been together in this house for... How long is it? It must be at least 3 years.
Where's Madge?
Oh, she went upstairs.
Well, go up, dear, and tell her we're all in here with some tea and ask her very nicely, especially from me, to come down.
I bet she doesn't.
This is just like old times, isn't it? It's been so long. I really think I might tell fortunes again tonight.
Oh, yes, Mother, do.
No.
Really, Kay?
I'm sorry, Mother, but somehow I hated the idea of you messing about with those cards tonight. I never did like it much.
I believe only the bad things come true.
Oh, certainly not. I clearly saw Madge's Girton scholarship, you remember. I always said she'd get one, didn't I? And I always said Robin and Alan would come back. I saw it every time in the cards.
I think I ought to go, Mrs. Conway. Thank you so much, Kay.
The loveliest party there's ever been.
Oh, my...
Oh, I really have had a most marvellous time, Mrs. Conway.
Well, Mother,
Are you children serious?
of course we are.
Joan?
Yes.
Well, you better have a cup of tea, hadn't you?
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, Madge said she's too tired.
Tea.
Oh. Well, we can manage very well without Madge. Kay ought to read us some of the new novels she's been writing.
I couldn't possibly, Mother.
I don't see why not. You always expect me to be ready to sing for you.
Oh, that's different.
Kay's always so solemn and secretive about her writing, as if she were ashamed of it.
I am, in a way. I know it's not good enough yet. Most of it's stupid. Stupid.
It isn't, Kay.
Yes, it is, Angel. But it won't always be. It must come right if only I keep on trying. And then you'll see.
Is that what you want to do, Kay, just to write novels and things?
Yes. But there's nothing in simply writing. The point is to be good. To be sensitive and sincere. Hardly anybody's both, especially women who write. But I'm going to try and be. And whatever happens, I'm never going to write except what I want to write. I feel is true to me, deep down.
Go on, Kay.
No, Alan. I'd finished, really. Or if I was going to say something else, I've forgotten what it was. Nothing much.
Are you overtired, dear?
Oh, no, Mother, really.
I wonder what will happen to you, Hazel, when Kay's a famous novelist. Perhaps one of your majors or captains will come back for you soon.
They needn't. In fact, I'd rather none of them did.
Think she can do much better than them?
I know I can. Oh, I shall marry a tall, rather good-looking man about 5 or 6 years older than I am. And he'll have lots of money and be very fond of travel. And we'll go all over the world together, but have a house in London.
Well, what about poor Newlingham?
Oh, I couldn't possibly spend the rest of my life here, Mother. I'd die. But you shall come and stay with us in London. And we'll give big parties, and everyone will come and stare at my sister Kay Conway, the famous novelist.
And what about your brother Robin, the famous something or other? You bet your life.
Don't you know what you want to do yet?
Give me a chance. I've only been out of the Air Force about 12 hours. By jingo, I'm going to do something. This is a time when young men really get the chance, and I'm going to take it. You watch.
Don't tell me you're going to run away from Newlingham, too.
Well, I don't know about that yet, Mother. I might make a start here, but I don't guarantee to take root in Newlingham. No fear. Don't be surprised, Hazel, if I'm in London before you, or even before you, Kay, and making plenty of money.
Hazel will always have plenty of money. And I'll tell you another thing. Alan's the happy one.
I rather think that's where you're wrong, you know, Carol.
I'm not. I know.
No, I'm not having this. I'm the one who knows in this family. Now, wait a minute. I see Robin! Dashing about, making lots of money, becoming very important and helping some of you others. and a very devoted young wife by his side. And Hazel, becoming very grand. And her husband is tall and quite good-looking, almost as good-looking as she thinks he is. Oh, I believe he comes into a title.
Snob.
I don't see Madge marrying, but then she'll become the headmistress of a very big school and be the sort of woman who goes up to London and sits on committees and that sort of thing and becomes very happy and grand in that way.
Bet you will too, good old Madge.
I'll go and stay with her sometimes. Very important, the headmistress's mother. And when the other mistresses are invited in to dine, they will listen most respectfully while I tell them about my other children.
I could just imagine that, Mrs. Conway.
And Carol, what about Carol?
Carol. Oh, Carol will be with me for years yet.
Oh, I don't know about that. I haven't exactly decided what to do yet. There are so many things to do.
I think you could go on the stage, Carol.
Yeah.
Yes, I could, of course. And I've often thought of it, but I shouldn't want to be on the stage all the time. And when I wasn't playing a part, I'd like to be painting and making all kinds of weird dresses for myself, and scarlet cloaks, and black crepe de chine gowns with orange dragons all over them. And cooking, yes, doing sausages and gingerbread and pancakes and sitting on the top of mountains and going down rivers and canoes and making friends with all sorts of people. And I'd share a house or a little flat with Kay in London, and Alan would come and stay with us and smoke his pipe, and we'd talk about books and laugh at ridiculous people and then go to foreign countries.
Steady.
How are you going to do all those things, you ridiculous child?
I'd get it all in somehow. The point is to live. Never mind about money and positions and husbands with titles and rubbish. I'm going to live.
Oh, all right, my darling. But wherever you were, all of you, and whatever you were doing, you'd all come back here sometimes, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Just being yourselves as you are now and telling the same silly old jokes and playing the same silly old games. I can see us here again.
Don't!
What is it, Kay?
I won't do any of those things, Kay. Really, I won't. I'll come and look after you wherever you go. I won't leave you ever if you don't want me to. I'll look after you, darling.
Really? Kay, what's the matter?
Alan, please tell me. I can't bear it. There's something you can tell me.
I'm sorry, Kay. I don't understand. What is it?
Something you know that would make it different. Not so hard to bear. Hurry, Alan, and tell me. Comfort me. Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go.
Really, Kay? You're overtired from the party. Why don't you go to bed, darling, and Carol will bring you some hot milk, maybe an aspirin, too, eh? Are you all right, Kay?
Yes, Mother. I'm all right.
I know what would help. It did once before. Robin, come with me.
I think I ought to go, Mrs.
No,
Conway.
Joan, you stay where you are. Robin, I think...
She's going to sing. I know what it will be.
Kay.
Yes, Alan?
There will be something I can tell you. One day, I'll try. I promise.